I think many women don't realize they're disconnected from themselves until they finally get a quiet moment and don't actually know what to do with it. And something I've become very conscious of lately in my own relationship is the difference between needing to numb out and needing to reconnect to yourself. And I don't think this is a conversation about who has it harder. I think it's about understanding that sometimes two people can both be overwhelmed, but in completely different ways. For example, there are moments where my husband just wants to sit alone and scroll on his phone for an hour after a long day. Not to do anything productive, not to think deeply, but simply to switch off mentally for a while and just numb out. And that triggers me, but honestly, I do understand. I know that men and women are different. But what I've realized about myself lately, especially being pregnant while also taking care of a toddler all day and still waking up through the nights, is that when I ask for alone time, it's not because I want to escape myself, it's because I desperately need to come back to myself. And I think there's such a big difference between those two things because when your nervous system is overstimulated all day long, when your body is constantly needed by someone else, when your emotions are constantly being pushed aside because there's always something or someone that needs you first, then 5 quiet minutes alone can feel very emotional. And something else I've become very aware of is how motherhood so easily becomes the default. For example, if my husband wants to look something up for work, think about a business idea, research something, or just have uninterrupted time in the evening after working all day, it often feels very natural that I continue holding everything together with our son during that time. And I understand why, but the reality is that being an ambitious woman refusing to lose herself in motherhood or marriage, I also have things I want to think about, things I want to create, things I want to read, reflect on, process, or work on. The difference is that those things are usually done in the leftover spaces, during a small part of daytime nap or late at night, in exhaustion or in fragments, usually when everyone else is asleep. And after a while, that starts doing something to you internally. Not because you don't love your children, not because your partner is a bad person, but because you slowly become disconnected from yourself without even noticing it. And I think a lot of mothers silently live in that place where basic things like showering or brushing your teeth slowly, or just sitting in silence for a few minutes, feeling your emotions, or simply existing without being needed by someone for a moment, starts feeling almost impossible to access consistently. And I also think many men genuinely don't fully understand this experience, not because they're bad men, but because they are not living inside our bodies or nervous systems as women. How can they understand something that they have never really experienced themselves? Which is why I think consciousness and communication matters so much in relationships. Not a trap of blame or keeping score like it is so easy to fall into, but awareness, being able to recognize your own patterns, your own overwhelm, your own unmet needs, and learning how to communicate them before they become resentment. And I'm still learning this myself, very much so. But lately I've been realizing that there's a huge difference between saying I need time away from everything and I need time to reconnect to myself. And I think a lot of women don't even realize how disconnected from themselves they've become until they finally get a moment alone and suddenly feel like crying.